All right, hey, let's see if we are up and running, and we'll get things in gear this morning. So let's see, the screen populated, but it's still on a loading screen for me. There we go, it just popped over. Excellent. So let me go ahead and drop my volume down there. There we go, it just popped over. Sounds like the volume's good. All right, let me get prepped up here to kick out for about maybe 80 minutes or so this morning, I guess. Copy, paste. I'm going to boost my social medias here real quick and then start talking the spiel. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish online, and I've been focusing attention here on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I've been publishing content on DMsGuild. I've been running Eberron as my homebrew campaign, basically since about 2006 after it had released. So, happy anniversary, Eberron, Keith Baker. Rockin' like dockin', man. This is a great setting. It's I've used it across, let's see, I've used it in D&D 3E, Cypher System, D&D 5E, and I'm using it as a homebrew a template for a homebrew game that I've been building that'll be out on ttrpg in a couple of years. Let's see. That's good. That's good. That's good. We can get started here. Burp. I'm at on Twitter, the ex-Twitter platform at Phil Kearney, and like, subscribe, hit a bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future. All 260 some odd episodes are listed here. Here's a slew of books that I've created that are on DMsGuild right now. You can check out the kind of stuff that I build. If you like the cut of my jib, consider making a purchase to support more shenanigans in the future. So this is the book cover to the adventure that we're writing. It's called The Crystals of Mabar, and it is for, I'm going to fade that into black. It's for 4 to 5 characters, level 7 to 8. There's a ton of additional, there's the core adventure, and then there's a ton of optional encounters that can pad out and increase the time frame of running the game. If you want to start at 6th level, if you wanted to run this for multiple long rests for the team to go into the environment and get back out again, many optional encounters. And so we're working on a map today for one of those encounters. This is a monument, a ruined monument that has been built over an unmarked mass grave. I guess the monument itself marks it, but it doesn't call out the grave. This is in the on the compound of a necromancy research facility in Carnath, in the Carnwood, on the nation of Corvair, or on the continent of Corvair on Eberron. Basically, necromancers are manifesting, are using an artifact and a ritual to artificially create a manifest zone or an overlapping of both the world of Eberron and Mabar, the plane of undeath and things that go bump in the dark. And during that co-termination, as the ritual proceeds and the artifact grows in power, it expands the size of the manifest zone. And at the nexus, at the center of it, where the source is, it's emanating this energy, and it's pulling in more and more elements from the bar, and that's causing the environment to get terraformed, to be drained of life, and to be replaced with the caricature of vegetation that Mabar presents. So. We're going to, let's see, give me a hot second here. This is all the soil that's being converted into the Mabarite soil. So I'm going to do this. Darken up the soil so it matches. And now I'm going to gritify this soil. Worth noting here and here, This is the base template that we have. It's a what is it? 20 by 20? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Uh-oh. 17, 18. I need to expand this. A few ticks. Let's expand the image by 200, or yeah, by 200 pixels. Image, canvas size. What the? Hey, neat. I didn't realize I had grid that went off the map. That just made my life super easy and barely an inconvenience. How's about that? Let's drop down into here and grab our inside. I'm just looking for locked layers right now. Clean. Water, color. I just need to make a little bit more space. And then there's the inside. All right, so we're looking good here. Here and here. One, two. Fuck it. Let's go with 3. Brr-doo-doo. Synchronize their lies. We got top side. I don't think there's any locks on the top side. Is there? No lock. No lock. Very good. And puddles. So if I expand this here by 1, and then here by 1, that's a 2-inch gap. Oh, perfect. What are we doing over here? Something seems off, doesn't it? Chisel that out. Just cleaning up our edges, making sure each of these grid squares is 100 pixels, and so I can when the 2 squares next to each other. Each square is 100 pixels, and the frame of the grid is 2 pixels wide. So when I drop this into Roll20 as my virtual tabletop of preference, what happens is the resolution of the map on Roll20 is 70 pixels per square. So when I take this map at 100 pixels per square and I reduce it down to match the grid on Roll20, the vector lines that they have on their map that overlay the maps inside of the VTT, they have a vector map. They have vector lines for the map, and then they have raster images underneath it, pixel images underneath it. So when you drop it down to 70 dpi, the width of this grid line, 2 pixels wide, gets squeezed down to 1.2 pixels wide, which is the width of the vector line art they use. So if you drop this map down to 70 pixels, it aligns perfectly with the grid that they have on Roll20. So it's super easy. And a 100 pixel resolution obviously is plenty of plenty of volume of information to be able to create what I think are pretty cool maps. So I'm really happy with the 100 pixel resolution being used. And in print, of course, it's just black and white. So we get rid of all the color in a separate layer. Burp. Burp. This is the actual map environment in just line art. So it works perfectly fine as just line art, except that there's this weird flaw over here. I don't know what you're all about, buddy. You gotta go. So the black and white is already just overlaying the color of the map itself. So all you gotta do is just conceal the color layer, and it's easy. You can just laser print it. It's just black, white line art. You can just laser print it and be good to go, and have a minimal cost for producing. You can see that the living grave here doesn't stand out very much in this mass here, but we're going to put in a bunch of viridescent lighting. Iridescent is blue lit. Viridescent is green lit. So when we get done with coloring the textures, we have these these environmental tokens. This Vulpina, this is a moss called Vulpina Lotharia, and it's viridescent, and if you step into its space, it creates a stinking cloud effect that will force your character to make a Constitution saving throw, or they start throwing up. So that's a great way to keep marshals away from your creature that's spawning undead that are immune to the effect. The undead don't get poisoned. Wait, something's off. Oh, that's because I'm on the lower layer, not profile. Let's see. Yep, this is lining up. Let's keep that going. Keep it going because it's snowing. I love it when it snows. We don't get a lot of snow in Seattle, but I love it when we do. We're just over here cleaning up our edges. Locked up, so I'm gonna have to save, and then we'll restart this, and then we'll go back up. We'll clean up the edges around the profile, and then we'll get into the grid, get into the nitty gritty. I hope you guys are having a great morning. I'm here 10 days a week. I'm here 10 days a week, Monday through Fridays in the mornings, in the evenings on Mondays and Thursdays, including last night. You can check out the Spelljammer creation stream. We're furnishing vocaths We're making a separate map for Light of Zarax's Vokath's base, and we're currently furnishing it with, furniture. That's what furnishing is. And decorating it color, so it can be part of an additional challenge, an additional encounter that we created to add as supplemental material in the Light of Zarax's adventure. So we work on that on Mondays and Thursday nights. And hold on, I'm going to erase this down, make sure I get it good. And then Monday through Friday in the mornings we do this. On Wednesdays, we work on a Spelljammer subclass supplement, building a Spelljammer specific subclass for each class. 13 classes. I think I'm finished with 5 of them so far. 6. Is that right? 6. So it's coming along. I'm not in a hurry to get it finished because good work doesn't happen quickly. At least not for me. I have to spend time and make sure the math works out. If the math works, here's the great thing about 5e. If the math works out and the action economy is there, then you can basically make balanced subclasses without much fear of the playtesting not working correctly. Like if all you're doing is like granting an advantage to something, or like you can add a proficiency bonus to a thing, as long as you're paying attention to the fundamentals of how 5e works, you can supplement little revisions like that into subclasses without any difficulty at all. It doesn't actually need to be play tested. But when you are creating new subsystems or are using new types of mechanics that don't currently exist in 5e, that's when you're expanding the scope of the game, and you do need to play test. So like I don't need to play test a barbarian pilot, because everything that the barbarian pilot exists in the Spelljammer setting already, just on different characters. So the barbarian is taking different, like being able to apply your resistance when the ship takes damage while you're piloting. We already have multiple ways for ships to gain resistance. So a barbarian raging, adding one of those is basically like, instead, like the wizard can cast Blade Ward, and the ship will have resistance for that round. Or you can rage as a barbarian and give the ship resistance while you're raging. It's just improving. Damn, we locked up again. We're just improving action economy and including in options into what base classes are already able to do in a different way, which is what subclasses are designed to do: expand the core tenets of a class and have them be able to do more things or different things in a way that's inspiring to the base class that the subclass is embellishing. So. But in comparison, like the martial power system, we're adding 160 new spells on Mondays and Fridays, including today. Later on today, probably in about 6 hours, we'll continue exploring martial powers. We're going to work on we're looking at the weapon masteries for 2024. We're integrating them into the combat mastery system that we have. And then we're going to look at how the Paladin can exploit the new combat masteries and the bonus action limitations that have been imposed onto the Smite feature. So that's going to be content for today at my lunchtime, which is going to be at 7 o'clock now. In about 6 hours, we'll be on. That'll be 1 o'clock here in Seattle. That's a good time to take some lunch. We'll grab an hour. We'll go through the weapon masteries that are presented in the 2024 handbook. They're already on the DMsGuild D&D Beyond to explore. We already developed combat masteries, which are weapon cantrips, and so we'll be able to see how the combat masteries that we previously created complement what weapon masteries are as presented by Wizards of the Coast. There's pros and cons to it. Obviously, I think I've chosen the right path for that idea. But couture designers like me are always a little bit ahead of the mechanical curve. WotC's role with D&D, with 5e, as the official stewards of 5e, their role is to build a stable base and conservative mechanics that allows 5e to incrementally move forward. It is not designed to be cutting edge couture. Like they said in one of their recent videos, they're just catching up to what everyone is already homebrewing. They used bonus action drinking potion as an example. They are not trying to be cutting edge on anything. They are trying to establish the baseline expectations of players coming into the hobby with 5e as their initial experience. The innovations they make is basically simplifying and streamlining the core rules of the game. They are not trying to be cutting edge or innovating of anything. They're just catching up and standardizing common practices, which is what their role as a mega corporation should be. They are most interested in creating a stable product that can continue to create revenue for them. It's couture designers like myself and so many other people that are homebrewers out there that take what is the base stable model of 5e and then push its edges. And when those ideas become common enough, they eventually get incorporated into what the core experience of 5e is as they update, as they continue to errata the books in the future. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I got no hate for that at all. I like being able to design for 5e. It is my favorite edition of D&D. I honestly played some Beckme with AJ Pickett, Mr. Welsh, Fred with How to RPG, and Wally DM was DMing. And that was basic level 2 characters using the basic rules of Dungeons & Dragons. If you're on my Discord, you'll see a link to that live session. We played for about maybe 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Just kicking around a dungeon as second level characters, and it is an absolute blast. Beckme is so simple, and it's more about creative problem solving than killing creatures in CR. It's just there. The original Beckme D&D, VX, basic box sets, red box, whatever you want to call it. It's the original role-playing games are user interfaces that allow players to insert their body and observations and decisions into a virtual game space before virtual game spaces existed, and all of the actions that players take is basically exploration, hands-on, like literally interacting with something. Like, I want to open that drawer. What kind of books are on the table? You're not doing search checks. If there's something there, you find it. The challenge to the players is thinking of making that observation. Like, should I check the bookshelf for weirdness? Okay. If I don't, I miss it. If I do, I find it, for the most part. Because that's the narrative elements of the game. That's kind of how the engine works. It's providing a narrative experience for you to have an artificial persona in this fantasy game space, and then engage with it as either you see fit or as dictated by the personality of the character that you are portraying. And that is the essence of role-playing, inserting yourself into a virtual environment to fuck around and find out. Get that out of the way. Good. Squared up. Perfect good. And now what we need to do is stitch this shut. Here and here. And then go back to here. So I need one more square down here, and I need another square up here to have a 20 by 20 grid. It's only 20 by 18 right now, so it needs to be blah 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 bigger. Let's grab a square, make life easy. Here. Zoom in. Making sure everything fits squarely. Get this all resolved here. See how I'm dissecting that grid line with 1 pixel? That helps assure that the tiles that I'm building are 100 pixels in size by staying inside of the inside space of the line. Is that word solidly enough for you? Push this down here. There. Push that out, and now we can scoot across there. Like that. This will make life easier. I'm holding down the shift key so that it stays locked in the pixels as I move horizontally across the page. So once I have the edge down, I can be sloppy with like where my actual pixel square is at and not bleed into the outer pixel of the grid line, the adjacent grid line, as it were. These are technically 2 separate grid lines that are adjacent to each other. Perfect. Look at that. This looks like it's lining up really, really nicely. Just being a perfectionist here on screen for you guys. Irrelevant. Nope, too far. There we go. Outer edge cleanup. The details are important. You want to get them right. There. No, get out of here, weirdo. Perfect. Feels like a square. Looks like a square. Hey, it's a square. Now I've got a two-line margin all the way around. That's something I like to do. We have this. We're going to grab this and here, and we're going to leave this on a separate layer because we're going to have to double darken it. So for now, we have a minimum 30 pixel size, so we're just going to lay these in here to complete this process. I hear you, timer, and thank you for timing me. Burp, burp, burp. Let's fill these all in. We'll double dip it, and then we'll get to we'll start carving away. size is 35. Good. This is called stippling, when you're just pressing down, making a dot, but the dot is the shape of this weird crystal stuff. This is actually, this template here is actually based on a fractal cauliflower. They look like these, like the weird acid trip type plants. They're super cool. And the fractal nature of them makes them interlock like this very, very easily. Fractals are amazing, and they're a really cool art tool. If you can figure out how to implement them, they make neat effects. Assuming that you think this is a neat effect, it makes neat effects. Now, opinions may vary. There's very many opinions. This substance that we're making here, it's this coffee griddedness, is what happens to the soil after it's been exposed to the energies of Mabar. It drains all the life out of it and basically turns it into Folger's crystals. You heard it here first, folks. Folger's crystals is necrotic dirt. You are literally putting necrotic dirt into your cup and you're drinking it, which is why humanity is falling into hell. It's all because of the coffee bean. You've been warned. See how nicely all these things kind of just click together, and regardless of how I spin it, it's just a matter of resizing. It's just this natural little arc curve. It's so geometrically simple that it's really easy to make it fit into patterns. Maybe not perfectly, but enough. Thoroughly enough. That's convincing. And we're going to erase a lot of this. It's just part of the texturing process to add it in and then to tear it out. And like you add, delete, add, delete, add, delete, and it leaves little scarred remnants and little texture spots. And that's exactly why we're going to go through that process. So I did this 2 or 3 sessions ago. 2 sessions ago, we did the add, subtract on the texture, and you can see how that went. But we'll get to it here probably in about 10 minutes or so. Like we're almost done here. I can hear the crows outside cracking open the peanut shells that I threw out onto the pavement. There's a murder of crows that hang out in the trees where I live. There's also a colony of squirrels and a couple seagulls roost around here too. The seagulls and crows are constantly fighting. There is an ongoing gang war between those two species of birds. Seagulls are large enough, or seahawks, if you would, around here in Seattle. A seahawk is large enough to take on 2 crows for sure. If it's bold, 3. But once it gets, if it feels outflanked, it'll run away at 3. And even if it feels bold in its position, seagulls tend to retreat if there's 4 or more crows, because there's just too much there's just too much DPS that the crows can output per round for the seagull to be able to tank. So it has to retreat. And so that's why crows hang out in a murder, because they can gain up on virtually any other type of bird, or most land predators as well. They'll just be able to pack tactics them to a point where whatever it is that they're looking at, no one else is gonna like. It just becomes too costly to pursue it. They have to give it up. But so I throw out a bunch of peanuts, in unsalted peanuts still in shell, and for the most part the squirrels descend from the trees and the crows will land and take interest. And crows generally don't mess around with squirrels. They don't really view them as competitors. And I throw out enough peanuts onto the ground that everyone has a chance to get something in their cheeks. And the crow will just sit there and crack them open right there on the pavement. And as long as the squirrels don't feel threatened, they'll just sit there and gnaw on them, and then shove another one into their cheeks and run up a tree to go stash it, and then come back down for another one. It's super cute, and it's right outside my patio door. So that's one of the things I like to do when I wake up. Before I fire up the coffee maker, I'll grab a cup worth of unsalted peanuts in shell and just lob them out out my back door basically, and let them start scampering around and chewing on them. And I leave a few on my porch, so they have to get used to getting closer and closer to my actual patio door to get the treats, which I know the crow are recognizing as indoctrination, but I don't think the squirrels are smart enough to recognize it. But if I'm persistent enough, they'll become my Disney princess allies, and eventually help me overcome evil, I'm certain. I play in a Curse of Strahd game for 5th edition. We're 4th level right now, and that happens every other week. I am playing a Divine Sorcerer. Using the color mana system, I have chosen Selesnya, white and green, as my colors. My character worships Selûne, the Forgotten Realms goddess of the moon. So white-green is a pretty good color combination for Selûne. And her hated twin sister Shar is the god of lies and shadow, and so her being black and blue is a fun complement to Selûne's white-green. So I've been playtesting the Spellpoint Sorcerer that I've been developing for the color mana Spellpoint variant rule system that I have published on DMsGuild. There's a link to it down in the description down below. You can check it out if you want to. But obviously we're gonna have to update all of those books for the 2024 revisions. The color mana system, the Eldritch Knight and Arcane, the Knights and Tricksters book for Eldritch Knights and Arcane Tricksters. The Spellpoint Warlock book is going to need a little bit of revision, and the Martial Powers project that we're going to be streaming today, we're going to be looking at the weapon masteries that Wizards of the Coast has created, and how they fold into what we've already developed for the Martial Power system. And then we're going to spend a little time talking about the change to Paladins having the turn-based smite, which is pretty unpopular amongst Paladin players, and but DMs that feel overwhelmed by the Nova power of Paladins are happy about this change. But I think that's just because I don't think that was a necessary change in the system. I think it's I think what they're doing is they're making changes to character classes to fix problems that DMs have. They're nerfing and modifying classes to make it easier to DM when they haven't really put in a good effort to teach new people how to DM. So they're kind of letting the tail wag the dog, in that they knew what their design principles were in 2014. They just didn't adhere to them. The culture is kind of shaping how they allow D&D to be played, instead of having any apparently real strong opinion about what 5e is actually supposed to be. So it's creating those weird, like being able to smite multiple times when you're a half caster. You don't have a lot of damage. The problem is that tables don't have enough combat encounters that require resource spends during the course of a long rest. Because our paladin's is on a long rest leash, and it only has 4, 3, 3, 2. It only has, at 20th level, it only has 15 spell slots per day. And a first and second smite spell slot isn't going to do shit to a meaningful 20 CR a creature that's worthy of a 20th level fight. So it's not actually a problem. The problem is the lack of, they have too many resources for the amount of encounters that people want to run in 5e during a normal long rest period. And that's because combat is so granular and it has a very slow processing speed. So it takes a while to chew through a round of combat. And so the natural response to that is, I don't have time for another combat. Let's just skip that so we can get some plot points moving forward. And you desynchronize the resources that characters have to the amount of combat that's supposed to occur during a long between long rests, to eat up those resources. And Wizards has yet to properly address that disparage. They created that design flaw in that they assumed that you would have 4 to 6 combat encounters per day, or basically 6 encounters that are going to somehow drain resources from your character. And that's a tall order. That is a densely packed map of danger for your team to navigate with the amount of resources that they have available to them by 7th or 8th level. And it just compounds as you gain levels. Especially this is where the quadratic disparity between marshals and casters occur. Casters get more feats, quote unquote, scaling feats, which spells, let's just face it, spells are long rest prepared scaling feats that allow casters to do more and more and more with, if you don't run D&D the way that it was intended, they don't run out of resources. So the full casters end up having more resources than the DM is able to exhaust during the course of their adventuring day, which is a flawed tempo of challenges. You have to match the long rest to the number of encounters that you have per day, which is why a lot of people have leaned into the gritty realism system of a long rest every 7 days and a short rest once per day. If you're only going to have 2 or 3 encounters per day, that is appropriate pacing, because you should be able to get 2 or 3 resource spending encounters, typically combat, per short rest, and 6 to 8 per day. So you come in fresh, you do 2 or 3 encounters, you take a short rest, you do 2 or 3 encounters, you have another short rest, you do 2 or 3 encounters, and then your day is over. So that's going to be somewhere between, well, technically it would be somewhere between 6 and 9, but not every one of them is going to be 3. It's 2 or 3 on purpose, so that occasionally you have 2, sometimes you have 3. It's going to end up on average being 7 or 8 encounters. But they don't have to be combat encounters. They just have to spend your resources. Unfortunately, there's an entire pillar of adventure in D&D that doesn't require resources. It requires time, but it doesn't eat up your character's resource budget, and that is the social pillar. Because social pillar is just conversation and hijinks. You're not actually rolling dice, and if you are rolling dice, it's simple ability checks that don't actually require the spend of resources. So there's a disconnect there in the intrinsic game engine design and how the game is being ran culturally by tables on their own. Like what they naturally evolved into does not jive with the resource systems that were provided in 5e. The solution to that isn't necessarily to nerf how you can use your resources. It's to recalibrate how encounters are ran and how many you run and the intensity of them to compel players to expend resources to survive or succeed at the challenges that they're facing. Which is one of the things that we attempt to address during our rambles here in the art stream. So if these ideas are interesting to you, or you want to bounce things off of me, you can join my Discord. The Discord page is open to anyone. It's available on the About page of my Patreon. It's linked down below. Just go to the About page and then just grab the URL. I update it repeatedly to make sure it stays fresh. So you can always access the server if you're interested, and you are most welcome into my community to talk shop as much as you want. That's where my playtesting occurs on Discord chat. If you're a member of my Patreon, you have preferential seating at playtests that I run. We're going to have another playtest fire up for Spelljammer here in the next couple weeks. I think like July 6th maybe we'll do a Spelljammer playtest. Yeah, that's 2 weeks from now. Yeah, that's perfect. 2 weeks from now. Yeah, we should be doing Spelljammer in 2 weeks. And it's just a simple fleet battle. It's just like a 5-round combat. So this is a fun little fleet battle. It'll be cool. So if you've been checking out the deck plan construction I've been building for Vokath's Battle Crab on Mondays and Thursday nights, including last night, it's fresh. You can check it out. That is going to be a key piece in the fleet battle that I'll be playtesting in the beginning of July. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. And it looks like beginning of July we'll be able to play test the revisions to the martial power system. We ran a 5-week play test, about 20 hours worth of play at 3rd and 4th level, just to get a feel for first rank powers and how they sit in the classes. We had an artificer, paladin, fighter, barbarian, monk. We had a good array of characters, of half casting and martial characters that. Let's do this. Perfect. Now I can merge this down here. Okay, cool. So we've done it. We did it. We've updated the map. We've cleaned up the line work for the interior and profile maps, and we've gridded the environment. I'm going to duplicate, not delete, duplicate the layer. Conceal, and now we're going to go through and start destroying. So this is the next step. We're going to erase and add. See, I'm using the same brush to erase, so it maintains the same language, but it has all these gaps, so it leaves these like little freckle marks, and that's exactly what I want, because that's how you get that pockmark effect going. I'm just creating little happy trails inside the grit. I'm basically going to where I'm seeing these gaps that we created. I'm basically just expanding on them. Oh man, I just got crazy hungry. What is up with that? Let me show you. Puddles. See, this is a puddle space. This token, this here is a puddle as a separate little template that gets laid down. So when I pick that up, you see how this crease is meeting along there. So when I get rid of the puddles, I'm going to have to bleed into this space here as well, like that. Apparently it's warm, so I'm gonna, excuse me for a second. Starting to warm up around here. Here I am back. 7:30. Okay, I've got about 15 minutes late this morning. 15 minutes left. So let's just keep hammering away at what we're doing. Erase. So yeah, those little freckle marks in there, and it just makes interesting little texture bits. You can see the different density up here on the margin and this interior space here. It's because I was getting lazy. Another good reason for me to do this disintegration effect is to break up the awareness of the changes in density. Here like that. More stippling. Just got to be careful about the density of it. So far, it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna break it up a little bit more over here. Kind of just like tottering these things around. Feels pretty good. Not bad. I like how that looks. So what we'll do next is we're going to conceal all that to expose this. Here. Puddles here. Puddles here. We're almost done. this. If I get to 500 subscribers, I'll put these brushes on my Patreon. I don't know how many. I honestly don't know how many people that watch this channel are interested in art, or if they're just interested in D&D, or what. I don't have a good idea of what my demos are. That's okay. I'll find my tribe. Find ya. Or you'll find me. We'll see. We'll see who's hunting who, shall we? But yeah, I'm going to be back in about 5 hours. 5 hours from now will be 1 o'clock in Seattle. That feels about right for lunchtime. We're going to be back. We're going to continue working on the Martial Powers project. We're going to focus on the difference between weapon masteries and combat masteries that we present, as well as how the bonus actions Smite introduced for 2024 Paladin is going to affect what we have in the Martial Power system. And then we're going to continue grinding through. I think we're going to work on. We're going to skip the monk for now. I'm going to save the monk for next Tuesday, because I want to chew on one of our playtesters, Shaywin, had compiled all of the different monk options that I had to make it more digestible, and I think it's a little sprawling and needs some revision, needs some simplification. It's overly complicated. So I need to simplify the monk options, probably take some of the monk options and just make them general options available as powers to anybody. Maybe. There are a lot of things that monks can do, and it's a little overbearing. So it needs to be reined in. I just got to be picky about how I rein it in. All right, cool. That's where we're at. This is feeling pretty good. Again, we have the flora and environmental hazard tokens that we're going to color next, and then we'll be able to just dot them onto the map, basically. Taboo. That feels pretty good. So I'll add these back in, and see, it all just kind of meshes together, and it just kind of feels right. So, yeah, so this is where we stop for now. I'm going to hit save here. When we come back on Monday working on this, we're going to focus on the flora and hazard tokens. and tiles. The right word is tiles. The hazard and flora tiles. We'll colorize those, and then we'll start dropping those onto the map in various areas to add some spice. And then this map will be done, and then we'll move on to the next one. So this grid is a significant victory because that provides a template that we can just stack on top of each other. So that's it for now, guys. I'm out of here for now. I'll be back in 5 hours to work on the masteries for martial powers, along with the paladin, and then we'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow morning. We're doing something, and then we'll be back doing this Monday morning, and then Tuesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday mornings. On Tuesday and Fridays, we work on martial powers just like today. Wednesday, we work on Spelljammer subclasses, and then Mondays and Thursday nights, we work on Spelljammer ship design. I suspect we're going to do something Spelljammy tomorrow morning. I'm not 100%. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do something. So, yeah, like, subscribe, stick around, say hey, ask me anything. We'll see you guys on the other side. Thanks a lot.